Welcome to today's fit, here with Herry G, who's just won Surrey Ladies Championship at Hankley Common. Very, very impressive. So here, and we've worked with you for a few years now, did the driver a few years back too. So here, focusing on this club, anything particular that you're wanting to see different from what this is giving you?
Something that would launch the ball a bit more higher because it's coming out quite low. And something that's more comfortable with the eye as well, just when I look down at it, and something that will give me a bit more distance as well.
So yeah, confidence, distance. Yeah. And is it, from a confidence point of view, you mentioned the shape of the head, obviously seeing a bit more ball flight will help naturally gain a bit of confidence stood over it, but is there anything specific from the shape that you're not as comfortable with, or is it a case of seeing a bit more loft?
I mean, I'm just open to try many different heads and just see what works best for me actually.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect, right, let's give a few a try. Is there anything swing-wise that you're working on at the moment, anything specific with the driver?
Just to not get the head too weak, so getting it strong, and then.
Is that through? Have you been rolling it a little bit open in the backswing?
Yeah.
Okay. And with driver, is it something you want to kind of stretch the swing a bit? Is it something you want to focus on getting it out there a little bit more from a swing point of view, or more just from a can we optimise flight to maximise distance? So I could probably make that a bit easier. Is it a club that you want to be aggressive with, or something that you want to keep the tempo the same and just maximise distance through ball flight, or is it something you view as a club to get after a little bit more?
I'd like to be get more aggressive with it. I feel past few years I'm just trying to keep it down the fairway, so it's been limiting my distance a little bit.
Okay.
So just something I can send it down the fairway. Yeah.
I guess part of that's, as you said earlier, confidence to just let the shaft out a little bit.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I mean, perfect for where you're going off to Wales next week on the links course. But yeah, that is. Yeah, the ball speed's good, and so the run out will be pretty good, but the carry's certainly going to be a little bit limited by the flight for sure. Lovely swing, hold posture really well, your delivery is really consistent. So from that standpoint, it's really a case of you getting this launch and spin optimised. So a lot of that's going to be head style. Make sure you get the mass in the right place, get the loft in the right place to get that flight up. And actually from a total distance point of view, if I put the average on an optimizer, it's actually run out pretty well. However, even on that total distance channel, it's on the bottom end of it. So, and the danger of that is that if you start to try to help it in the air and sit behind it, then that brings in left. So if I put it on kind of a carry in total, you can see how much more carries able to be got out of that. If we can keep the spin in a nice strong window and get that launch angle up, as you say, you're going to feel more comfortable seeing a bit more flight. There are holes from a strategy point of view that you'll be able to take on a bunker on a corner, or take on a shot where you can fly something, whereas at the moment, it's basically hitting straight to the face. So you have to be very accurate with your shot shaping on certain holes. So that's going to open up a whole load more strategy calls for you on the course. And if we can get from a swinging point of view, we'll have a look at some different weights and balance profiles. If that helps you let the shaft out and create just a little bit more rotation speed. You mentioned you're going to be obviously not getting in the way of tournaments, but getting back in doing more strength work in the gym. So we want something that's going to let you commit to it rather than forcing you to have to steer it a little bit. So a few things in there that we can certainly do. And from a head point of view, if I can grab that. It is one of the lower spin models. Put that to camera there, and in a strongish loft. So actually getting flight up won't be difficult at all. And with where the heads are now, you're such an orthodox delivery. that the heads have got a little bit lower spin naturally, so you might not have to go to one of the low spin models, or unlikely you have to go to one of the really low spin models to keep the flight going forwards. But you know, pick that launch angle up 2-3 degrees, and then your height wise on these, you're at not massively high. It's like great for link skull, 50 feet, but if we can get that more like kind of 70, 75 feet, then you know, that's just going to see loads more carry. So, right, plenty to work with. Great stuff. So, I'll get or are there any heads that you're interested in trying?
Just open to try everything. Okay.
I'll get a sort of middle ground head as a start point, and then if that's sort of basically in the right area, we'll work on shaft first, optimise that and the timing side of things, and then we can dial the flight in with the head. And grab a couple of bits. So, because Herry's very neutral, the flight very orthodox, the delivery's beautiful, really. She's never we shouldn't struggle with spin. So I'm going to go to a head that's quite sort of neutral, kind of middle ground, a little bit more loft, but one that I can go either way off from a spin point of view, flight. So start there, start with a TSL2, and let's go to, that's a little shorter. Just keep the shaft, so current shaft weight's just under 50 grams, so just going to adjust that a little bit. Where do I want to start? Let's just start right down in weight. Let's take a few grams out. Neutral balance. Okay. So I'm going to pick the loft up a degree, and to a head, in theory, a head that's just going to launch it a little bit higher, but one that's not overly low spin, high spin, pretty neutral. But we'll just take the shaft weight down a little more. Someone's stolen my... Thank you very much. So this is going to be a little bit longer as well.
Okay.
So your current one's basically 40.5 inches, these will be 45. Okay. So we'll see how. With each of these, just free it up, see how they swing. Yeah. As we go through the options, I'll be able to dial in the balance point, the weight and the timing. So because you're a good player, you will adjust, but just as free as you can make it, the better. So yeah, if we couldn't get more flight immediately, there'd be a problem. So spin's a little high, but I mean easy from a launch point of view. Okay, so with that one, first one's always a bit of a sighter, and then second swing's just a little bit more on it. And that one you could just see the bottom end get away from me a little bit more, so I'm just going to change that shaft up just to give you a bit more balance in the bottom end to hit against. And that's one of those, we change the options, seeing how, with different setups, how you develop your speed, whether there's one that you can actually use the weight in the shaft to build speed with a little bit more. Whereas that one, if we take the balance away from the tip end, it ends up being a little bit flicky.
Okay.
Right. So it's spinning a little too high at the moment, but we'll see whether that was just this shaft or whether we need to go to head with a different spin profile.
Why don't you tell us about that win? How did it kind of play out?
Yeah, I played pretty good the whole 3 days. The first day was match play and stroke play, and then it was the final 2 days with match play. Yeah, the final round I think I did pretty well. I had two tight matches, so I think one went down to 18 actually, and then the final went down to 17. So yeah, they were pretty tough, but I'm glad I came out with a win.
It's an easy game when you've got a great technique, great temperament, good work ethic. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's beautiful swing. Okay. Yeah, I think one of the things you do particularly well is you hold your posture so well through the swing, so it keeps your plane really, really neutral, which is why your path and your delivery is such a repeating action. Okay, yeah, that's better straight away. So you could see with that, as you started down, the club dropped into line more. Okay, I'm going to change the head because it's spinning a bit too much.
Okay.
But that one, a bit more mass on the bottom end, as you started down, dropped in a bit more, and then you can drive and build speed with it. But launch angle's good, but I need to bring the spin down.
Okay.
It's a nice 3-wood spin rate. But you can see where the carry is. The carry's at a point where we've already picked up 10 yards or so, and it's not as efficient as it could be. So going to the Cobra, the dark speed, because this one's been very good at maintaining a bit of launch but keeping the spin down a bit, which relative to the last head, the launch is in a nice place, but the spin's just a little bit high. So if we can pull that spin down a bit, then we keep the run, because where the current drive is great for run out, but because it's cut like an exit set, it's just losing a bit of carry distance. So with this set, I can put a heavier weight at the front just to pull that spin rate down a little bit more, or should be able to, saying the opposite word. Fractions match the balance of the last one. That swung well. Okay, there we go. Should spin a little bit less. More launch. Okay, so straight away, I mean that's totally different from a launch and spin point of view. So got a little bit more launch, but the spins come right down.
Okay.
So that one, in terms of, I put it on that optimize side of things. Now we're upper part of the launch, lower part of the spin window, which then makes it really efficient. So I can put it on carry and total there, and we're right up there on carry.
Yeah.
But because the spin's still strong, there's plenty of run out as well. So that's a good step, and you're all of 9 foot left of target, which I think we can forgive you for. So
Yeah.
that's straight away a better flight.
So it could be narrowed in.
Okay, good bit of ball speed. Yeah, so maybe a little lower on the face.
Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, technically a fraction.
Yeah.
But we're still, height-wise, that last shot was still 70 feet. The previous one was up at 80 feet,
80,
so
okay.
much better peak height. That one's, still got enough flight on it. I mean, as I'm going to do a very quick data comparison here between your current one and that one, and I'm going to put the height on there as well. Let me just take out, just so it makes it a little bit cleaner in terms of data comparison. So, currently, the Callaway is very good for ball speed, but 13 launch versus 10, 2-2 on spin versus 1700. We picked up 16 yards of carry, and nearly 10 yards flight height.
Yeah.
So. Really good pickup in flight there. So that's great. Okay, we'll definitely come back to this.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll look at a couple of different shafts in this head just to get that timed. And we also kept that nice and straight as well. So the other bit that's nice, the first swing, so a bit of a sighter, oh that went well, I'll hit it harder,
Yeah.
and it's stayed on line
Yeah.
too. So that's just great. Okay, that's a good benchmark. I'm going to pick a couple of shafts now. Yeah, so with Herry's swing being so, for want of a better phrase, orthodox, you can really see, from a fitting point of view, we can really see the changes in the structure of the shaft and the balance and the timing, because she's so on line and on plane, you can really see it drop underneath, get away from her. So it's quite definite when something's better or not. So I'm going to pick a couple here. I'm going to get the comparison with her existing shaft as well. Let's start with these. So just slightly different weights, fractional different balance points, and see what comes out best. So it'll be interesting, whilst we'll look at the other shafts, to compare the same shaft as your current one in that head too. But we'll do a couple of others first. Would you say, is it more, I mean, because your swing's so on plane, it often looks like you're not trying very hard because everything's really nicely balanced. Okay. Would you say you naturally, I've also been better at going down a club and hitting it harder, versus my body's forcing me to go up a club and swing it smoother now, but would you naturally be more, would it be more natural to be a bit more aggressive with the swing? Or
I'd say the opposite.
Yeah. It's
natural for me to like tone it down a little and try and keep it straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we don't want a setup that's going to make you force you to have to go after it, but we do want the setup to allow you to build that little, to time it, but then time it with a bit more speed when you want to go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that subtle difference between having something you can hit at or something you can move fast with. So just slightly different subtleties in terms of how you set the club up. Okay, that was fast. Okay, interesting, a bit flatter. I'm just going to do a couple with each of these to rule them in or out, and then we can, when we get down to a couple, we can then cross-reference them and see which one. Part of it's going to be which one you feel feels more natural through the ball. So I can see certain things, but I want you to feel like it just allows you to move on it. So the cleaner it feels through impact, the better the shaft swinging for you. So the less you've got to do to find contact. So the one that lets you just point shoot, that's ultimately going to be the best one, because that's also going to give you the confidence. One, if you do miss one a bit, you should be able to say, well, actually I felt like I did this, and it correlates the ball flight. But also when you're stood there on a narrow fairway, you want to feel like, right, I can just go, rather than thinking, oh, I've got to play this shot time. Interesting, that last one came out a little bit lower.
Low, yeah.
Yeah. So thinking about my next change. That was it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that looks harder work. Yeah. So that one you could see you, as you got to impact, you had to fetch the club a bit because you look like you backed up. So that then brings in that bit of a flip left, as you just saw there. So great. And we know we can do that off that one swing because well, because it's not happened with anything else, but that way through, it's some of the equal opposite forces. If it gets behind, you've got to do something to force it through. And so I can now see from that is you go that way so the club can catapult. So that's, we definitely don't. And from a shot shape, is there a, would you play with for a shot shape? If you're on a tighter hole, would you play for a particular shot, or your flight's very neutral, so.
Yeah, I just tend to,
Take dead aim.
I don't really aim left or right, just like middle of the fairway.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been fading it recently with that driver, so these days it's been the left side of the fairway, but I try and stick to the middle,
Yeah.
Probably just starting a time to right line and that was it.
Be interesting just putting your original shaft in this as well and see where that, how that compares. Fine tune the balance a little bit.
Yeah, to me it's like, because it's not too heavy, you're just moving in front of you now, really, really nice. So a couple where you just start
There you go.
perfect, but that's only because you started with it. Just kept it. So I'd be interested again if you just move your start line over. Yeah.
Okay. Good flight, and I'll watch one more. Good trajectory on that, really nice, strong. So on the, wouldn't want it lower, but it's still got a nice amount of forward momentum on that.
Okay.
Interesting. So I think what, again, ball speed's good. I think there's a slight tweak we can make with the shaft where they're just, you're managing it well, but it looks like there's just a little bit more going on through impact with that than a couple of the other options. So very, very close. And obviously you're used to it, so you know how to make that work. But I think in terms of being able to let you just stand and free it up, I think we can probably squeeze a fraction more out of one of the other shots. But it's in terms of weight and balance point, I think it's a real fine tune. Just gonna put that away. I'll put these two away. I'll just have a scout, make sure there's not one I'm missing.
How are you finding the fishing so far? Anything interesting been flagged up?
Just really like the fact that Simon's so into detail with everything, and the fact that he knows like the launch and the spin and everything. I think it will really help me with my game further on.
That's the only thing I was probably going to look at is on my house. Depending on how you want to see it. One thing you could do is
Okay, so I like where we are with the other two shafts, but this is just a due diligence. See whether this can just squeeze a fraction more from it. It's a graphite design, the UB series, so still stable for spin, but it's really keeping it within a narrow weight window. See. It's got a really good result. To swing with, I've got to make the question make sense in terms of getting a. Does it feel like you can just let that one go? Does it feel like you've got a?
It actually feels lighter than the rest, so I feel like I can.
In a good way, yeah.
Give it
I'm going to put a fraction more head weight on that. just because I wonder whether it just like you're just having to. Could be me interpreting something, but it kind of looked like maybe had to manage the face a little bit. I say because your path's so neutral, you can do that, but would rather you didn't have to.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just using that, just if we're going to drop it in a bit more, it just looked like it first swing, it just didn't get away from you, but it looked like the club just slightly got away halfway down. I mean, the next one's absolutely piped down the middle. I mean, it's we're 2 foot, 1 foot offline. Just put one of the others back in. It's interesting. My gut feel is I think these ones flow just a little bit better, and I think my only reservation with this one is I think you're not having to just manage it a little bit more than I'd like. But it'd be interesting going back to, let me go back to that first one. Like I said earlier, the better we get it, the more it should feel like you can just unwind and free your hands and arms up and just let the swing really let go. Interesting, for someone like Herry, it's such real fine tunes because she's so online, they all work. It's just getting it so that it's as unconscious as possible. Yeah, so I prefer the way that one goes through the ball.
Yeah.
From the point of view, there's a little bit more of a drop, which then allows you just to carry on going with the swing.
Okay.
But I'm not swinging it.
Yeah,
so.
that's pretty good as well.
Yeah, because so I feel like with that it can't get that way on you.
Okay.
And that little bit more of a drop, then those two swings are a perfect example of it. You know, they're down for kind of looking on the screen. They're down the same channel, face to path, 0.1 of a degree difference. But the first one was just under 93 miles an hour, and the second one put another mile an hour and a half of club speed on. Ball speed's picked up a couple of miles an hour, but it hasn't lost that timing through the ball. You've been able to just take the same aim line, hit the same shot, just hit it 5 yards further.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that other one. Okay. And it's just where it drops in a little bit more. It just means that the head's carrying, sort of accelerating. The term release always, for me, I think people tend to think of a roll, but I think of it more as if you're throwing a ball, just letting go.
Yeah.
And so the club head's dropping and then accelerating and coming through as you get through the ball, rather than getting there a little bit soon. And that one just looked like it got there slightly soon.
Yeah.
Which then, ultimately, the more and more confident you get, the more you just start to let it go and not even thinking about where it's going, or not seeing different start lines. If we can keep the start line the same, that keeps it really predictable. So still up at 80 odd feet, really good. Sounds like it might sound an odd phrase, a really safe flight. It's a really consistent, the 2 yard, 2.5 yard tolerance on carry distance, 2 yards of total. Really, it's a kind of flight where you can know if you hit it reasonably solid, you will know you can carry a bunker or a corner, which I think from a, I guess sort of, what's the terminology? Kind of not incentive, but kind of priority number one for this was get that carry distance up.
Yeah.
We've picked up.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, potentially, I think the more you trust it, you could get as close to 20 yards.
Okay.
that one runs like a scalded cat.
Yeah.
When the ground's got help, that'll be quite long. But over the winter, you'd have been losing quite a lot.
The lines
Because you have so many different bits at the top.
the lines
Came out of a little bit. A little bit. Yeah. So yeah, 17 yards right. Just came off a little bit. Okay, I'll see one more with that.
Okay.
But I think that previous shaft just swings a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is just getting used to like, these first ones. It's quite fun standing there, like, criticising what you've done.
It's a good move, but I don't think you can build speed the same way with it.
Yeah.
I think what this shaft does, it lets you, play your kind of stock swing and then build speed with it and keeps it down a more consistent line. So I'll run you through kind of where these ones are. We'll have a look at heads shortly. But if I look at, so yeah, ball speed wise, your current drive is still very good.
Yeah.
But what we can see from a flight point of view, 48 feet to 74 feet, which is that head, that shaft.
Yeah.
So much better launch and spin. Spin's still in a good window. Very tight tolerances on the spin as well, which is great. But if I go into that last one there, then we're starting to get, as you start to build trust with it, the ball speed, because that's a strong loft and a weight forward, so it's a strong head for ball speed as well. You're comfortably back up there, and there's potential to build on that. But we're up at 225 carry, as opposed to, I'll scroll back down, best was 212.
Yeah.
So, but it's split in between, and with only 1 mile an hour ball speed variation, there's a 12 yard carry variation. So if I put it on, I'm just going to compare where we're at with the best option versus your current one on the dispersion chart. So I'm just going to take it rather than having a load of numbers and dots on the screen. Which I'll leave that option in there as well. So total wise, so the green on screen is that head, this shaft. So that's got the tightest dispersion, which is great.
Yeah.
As you can see, the orange of your current driver, they're up there, but there's a little bit more of a drop back, a little bit more of a left-right spread. But if I put it on carry distance, there's a huge difference. So that's really where, but I think there's potential then to build a little bit more trust, a little more speed, a little bit more distance. We're keeping the spin in a good window. It's going to keep the run out. But I mean that means you play golf at Burr Hill. So certain holes, particularly on, I was going to pick a hole that's got a kind of straight. So I think it's 9 on the new course where there's a bunker. If that was at the right or the wrong distance now, you've got to lay up and go between them and play right of it. Where there's offset bunkers, whereas potentially with that you just go straight at the top of it. So really changes how you can attack the course a lot. So that's great. So that's the shaft bit. Head's in a very good place, but there are definitely 2 or 3 others that we can compare with. So it's giving you more launch, we're keeping the spin in check, good ball speed, but let's see what else we can find. That one there, that one there, and then if I can find the right. Someone else might have that one. Come back. Or it could be next door. So yeah. So you're going to get a variant style, not the LS version of the Callaway. Just going to keep that launch angle up. And we'll start with that. So you must have tons of comps this summer now.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy. Got one next week. I leave tomorrow actually for Wales, the Welsh women's stroke play. And then starting from like June, July, August, it gets pretty busy. I'm doing like mainly the English ones, English girls, English women's, And then there's like this mix.
Well, I think you've got the extra layers of, haven't you? You've got kind of age group as well as
Yeah,
the full champs, yeah.
Yeah.
Any long journeys you got to make?
They're actually all like over 5 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of travelling.
And is that, I'm assuming that's just a long time sat in the car?
Yeah.
Or do you train it to any of them?
I'm actually going by train tomorrow, so that will be a first. See how that goes.
That's the difficulty. You get certain, I remember, so there were certain bits of the country when I was playing amateur and pro stuff where I just, like up in Liverpool way, other than Conway for Open qualifying that I played at, there just weren't any when I was playing. Other than, you know, there was the Lytham Trophy, but the ballot was always like +2, +3, and I was +1 and a bit.
Yeah.
So, and then I played several in Norfolk. So Hunstanton had a few, and it's funny, you've got kind of pockets of it.
Yeah.
Always used to go down to Saunton for the West of England stroke play, that was good. Yeah, but never played any really up north. So I'm just going to get another weight I need, which I'll just get from one of the other heads. Yeah, a lot of them on links courses.
Yeah, I think most of them this year near the sea.
Never know, you might still need to use that. No, I think with where we've got the flight to, or what I want to do is I want to still keep the spin in the sort of the lower half of the 2000s, but where we're seeing that more peak height. If the spin stays down there, you can. It's the thing nowadays. Back in my day, we had to work the flight more because the ball spun more, so you had to launch it much lower. And I found over the last 10 years or so, just haven't really had to flight it down because the spin's so much flatter now. It's still going through with it. So the instinct for me has always been to knock the flight with the driver down, but I've ended up losing too much carry. So actually, if we keep the spin in that kind of low 2000s, it's still strong enough to have a really kind of piercing flight. So that's the current Callaway head. So the Callaways generally have been good at keeping the launch there relative to the loft, so not knocking it down. It's just whether the spin kicks a little bit or not.
No, I'm just putting it back.
Solid. Okay, solid. From well, you mentioned about the kind of confidence setting up over the ball. Is there a head shape that gives you a bit more confidence, or is it more just knowing that the club's swinging better? That's.
I used to play with the Titleist before that one, and I actually really like the shape of those ones.
Okay.
But I am pretty used to the Callaway one, so.
What's happening is you're turning your foot. So funny enough, the horse comes through. So what happened with that?
A little more launch.
Didn't move as one.
Okay. I'm just going to tweak the loft on that slightly. So this one's got that little bit of a contrast on the crown. Is that something that you like from an alignment? Because of the Cobra, if I get that head, I'll take that. So the Cobra's got hasn't got anything really to mark the face on, whereas with the Callaway you've got that there. Is that something that you like?
I quite like that,
okay.
I think so,
Flight's still good with the Callaway, we can bring it down a little bit. Well, obviously if one's 10 yards longer than the other one, then...
Love that little cricket finish. But that's how you play it. I mean, you look at the result.
Okay, so just change the setting on the head just to take the loft down a little bit. Yeah, so naturally the Callaway flights it up a little bit more, so it's always been good for that, but it hasn't hurt spin, which is good.
Again, then it's just consistent with the swing weight, or you can now build a head.
Okay, I'll come back, flight's
Okay.
solid, I'll come back
Yeah.
to that. We'll just, again, we'll rule in or out a couple of heads and then
Yeah.
we can dial in the last couple. So certainly that and the Cobra are both good options from a ball flight point of view.
The best things you may say.
That one I think, so the cowboy probably doesn't need quite as high a T.
Okay.
Because of that very, very light crown,
yeah.
the weight sits a bit lower in
Okay.
it, so tends to not need to be hit quite as high up the face. Let's see, tailor-made.
Because then your lower half's through. The hands just follow it really nice and then there's your okay 1 yard drop.
Slightly heavier. I'm just going to see if I can change the weight here. Because we know if we get the head too heavy, it drops behind
yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
flip. So that's something to avoid.
How's more solid strike? You just started it time to left, yeah. That was your start line, that's all.
Anyway, you're looking forward to playing in particular this year?
Maybe Royal Norwich.
Oh, okay, they've just
going
redone that.
Going there for the English girls.
Okay.
So that'll be quite exciting.
Yeah, there's, I think it's Royal Norwich, where the original course they actually sold for development and they've
okay.
rebuilt. It's a pretty much completely new course. Got a my best school friend. He does BBC Eastern Region,
okay.
so I'm seeing him tomorrow. I can tap him up some info.
Yeah.
I think he played in the opening of it. So.
Wow.
So this one's the QI10 tailor-made.
Yeah.
Be interesting. This may knock the flight down a little bit more, but we'll see. Been good for ball speed and good for spin this year, though. I'll watch one more with that, that's just spun a little more. Just goes to show, theory's great. In practice, you just got to hit them to make sure.
Yeah.
202.
Yeah, not quite as good. That one will be better for flight. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just not quite as much ball speed for you as some of the other heads. Just one other I want to get, but I think it's around the other side. So I'm just going to look around and grab. It's one of the pings. So final head on this. I want to try the it's the 10K thing.
Uh-huh.
I think with how, I mean, the interesting thing with this is being good on spin. It'll be whether it's, we're not going to beat the flight we're getting from the other two heads. Does the consistency, does the head give you a little bit more ball speed or the ability to move it a little faster? And say trust side of things. Yeah, but I mean, we're in a very good place with those two heads.
Yeah.
A little bit of weight to the back.
Same shot. Regular C6.
Okay, just add a little bit more to the. So loft on the heads are in the 10.5 heads.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
See one more there. I won't tell you what I'm looking at yet. Oh,
Okay.
I know what you're looking at. Yeah. Interesting, there's a bit less club speed. Okay, yeah, a little bit less speed. So, yeah, and even on the club speed, just a little bit less speed. So actually, see that one popped the spin a little bit. The first on the flight was okay, but I could see the club speed was down a little bit. And it is, some heads you will just move quicker than others.
Okay.
Can be to do with where the weight positioning is within the heads and how that kind of helps drop in and flow through. Right, I'm going to put the Callaway back on and I'll take the T height down a fraction. We'll keep this one in that slightly stronger loft position as well. Okay, I'll just drop the T a hair.
Thank you.
This is really seeing whether does one head give you a little bit more flight efficiency, a little bit more ball speed, so one just squeeze a touch more out of, or is one just more repeating?
Okay.
Yeah, straight away ball speed's better again. Flight's good. Okay. Yeah, club speed back up another mile an hour straight away from the ping. So. A little. I'll watch one more and I'll switch it back over. My only thought on this is where potentially the weight within the head's a little more extreme.
Okay.
Is it going to be as reliable from a flight point of view?
Okay.
But I'll watch one more and then I'll switch it over. I think the Cobra is going to be slightly more consistent. Swing. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not going to open my mouth and comment yet, but I think I know what we're likely to see. Trajectory's in a nice place.
Yeah. I like the way the head of that Callaway one feels.
Yeah,
and looks.
The composite sort of mutes it down a little bit. Okay. This is back to the Cobra.
Okay.
Going to just bring that T back to where it was as well. Yeah, fraction. Contact, really lovely swing line.
Thank you.
Okay, I should have left the T height where it was. Sorry.
Oh.
That was just a touch above centre, but that was still very... Again, what's nice with that as well is where it's a hair above centre, normally that gears a little bit of spin off. So from a contact point of view, where that's just a little bit on the upper half of the face, it's not knuckled the spin.
Yeah.
So it's still kept decent carry there rather than it just come falling out of the sky, which is good. So, okay. 0.0 face to path. Really good. Again, that still sounds a little high. Just drop that T a little bit. It sounds a bit higher on the face.
Thank you.
So I can just hear it sound a little bit hollow contact wise, yeah.
There's both these.
Okay, so that head. From a pure performance point of view, that one's just a little. The last two were a bit above centre, so pop the launch a little bit. But ball speed wise, that's a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah, ball speed wise, it's just a little more consistent. I think the reason being the Callaway head's got that very, very light composite on the crown, very, very light forged composite through the centre there, so there's a bit more separation of the weight.
Yeah.
So that actually, what that means, let's take that out so I don't throw screws everywhere, is that more heavily separated weight gets a little bit more variation. So slight variances in delivery, that mass is moving a little more. Whereas in the Cobra, by virtue of being able to put the heavier weight a little further forward, it actually means there's a little bit less variation on that, so it keeps the flight window a little more stable. But I think what we'll see across, let me get rid of that one, is, I'm just going to make sure there aren't any really funky ones in here, just don't want to sugarcoat, but I'll take that, I'll take one of the high strikes off of that as well. So between the two, still keeping a little bit more ball speed.
Yeah.
Trajectory, I mean, you're looking at 60 revs difference. Trajectory is the same.
Yeah.
But we're retaining just a little bit more carry distance, so a little more total distance. And so you move your current one, the ball speed fast, but so it runs out well. But we're losing a substantial amount of carry.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, just go after a couple.
Okay.
Just full treatment.
All right.
Nice wide fairway. Just to see if you where the potential is for this. Make sure it works for those swings as well.
Yeah.
Ball speed up. Okay, yeah, ball speed sets. That one flighted up a little bit more. Just to look at strike point. Yeah, middle. So and this is where it spins up a little bit, but you've got, the nice thing is club speed's going up, ball speed's going up, carry distance is going up.
Yeah.
It's flighted a bit more, so spun a hair more.
Okay.
But that's then picked up another, was it 6-7 yards of carry? Yeah, 5-6 yards of carry. But most importantly, that's also stayed absolutely online as well. So, I mean, from where the flight is naturally, I kind of like where that loft sits. If that was going to be your stock swing, we might loft it down a fraction. But that's certainly from if I go into the optimal window, your carry in total, that's great flight for that. If we put it on total, you can squeeze another 4 yards out by dropping the flight down a little bit. But that's the kind of thing I think I'd rather have it where it is now, and then if to make sure we've got that carry profile. If down the line say, actually, can we drop it a little bit? With the settings, it's easy to do. We just need to reset the shaft. But that's kept really good performance on that, a little more an effort swing as well. And that was the straightness is what I wanted to see as well. So to let you put a bit more speed in and stayed with you, and stayed really square. So lovely. Possibly on the effort swings, possibly raising the tee a fraction.
Okay.
This angle of, I was going to check to see whether angle of attack changes a little bit on those. Let me do it it's not in order of hit, so let's resort this screw. Yeah, angle of attack goes up a little bit. So when you put an effort swing on it, it's teeing it just a little bit higher, which I think is where we're seeing the spin. If you get it slightly back to slightly higher up the face because you're hitting up on it another degree, 1.2, 1.4 degrees, it just then catches a touch lower on the face, which is where it's spinning a little bit more. So fraction higher tee when you put your effort swing in, and then that should keep that spin out a little bit lower, and then squeeze another 6-7 yards out of those.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Happy?
Yeah, quite like this one.
Thank God for that. Yeah, so really pleased based on what the intention at the beginning of the fit was, seeing more flight. Certainly, seeing it, ball flight going from 48 feet to 79 feet, going up, almost sort of 70%.
Yeah.
But without the spin going through the roof, which is the most important thing. You're keeping the strength of flight, but seeing a lot more peak height, which is perfect. Where the Cobra good was allowing us to move that weight forward, because that then just keeps that spin down a little bit more, and I think also stops an extreme back weight's going to start to move the centre of gravity. If you have where on your effort swings you hit up on it a little bit more, that's going to pop it up a little bit more, so that just mitigates a little bit of the launch profile. Keeps it feeling a little bit more solid as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, in terms of what you wanted to see, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the results and everything. Gained a few extra yards, which I wanted. But yeah, feeling more, definitely more confident. I do like the look and the sound when I hit it as well.
It's an important part.
Yeah, and also it feels like nice when I hit the ball as well, and I feel like I could give it a good go.
In terms of, apart from them both being blue, shaft-wise, which is pure coincidence, shaft-wise they are quite similar, in terms of dead weight, balance point. It's a fractional change in that weighting that, this one's slightly more tip balanced than that, and that's where, if anything, the more you go after this, it could just start to catapult a little bit, but still producing very solid data. But a little bit more kick and launch from that shaft, but the higher loft in particular giving it a little more flight. So certainly I'm really pleased with the carry gain is great. Going from 207.6 on average to 224, which is perfect, and for no extra ball speed. So the nice thing with that is you start to gain a bit of trust with it and start to let the shaft out on course, so that can only grow. So you can only start to pick up more and more carry distance. So aggressive driving, here he comes.